everybody. I hope lunch is finishing up for you well. And as we do that, I thought I would share with you something special before we get into our diplomas this afternoon. I mentioned earlier that every season we receive multiple essays, recommendations, report cards to support the students on their quest to black belt. A student has to turn in a black belt essay on a specified topic, Teacher has to write a recommendation if they're a student. Parent has to refer them if they're not of adulthood yet. And they have to show their grades so that we know that they're progressing not just as a physical black belt on the floor, but as a human being in life. This season was different, and I received something I had never received before. I received a child's recommendation for their parent to move to the next level of black belt. And so I thought it best for you to hear those words from the person themselves rather than me. So I'd like to call up Mrs. Haley Ambrogio to share with you what I call No Excuses, a Daughter's Perspective. And she wrote this, and she is in charge of all the black belt prep documents, so she collects all of them. So she slipped this recommendation into her dad's folder without him knowing it. And I was the first one to read it. And I'd also like to mention that she has absolutely no idea that I was going to call her up to do this today. But don't worry, I brought a copy for you. Mrs. Ambrogio.
A quick funny story before I read it to you, because I think I'll start a little light with this. So my dad actually, he went up today and he got his second degree black belt, which was very exciting to see. And he didn't, as Sensei said, he didn't know I actually wrote this. But I happened to be at the house later when he came back from his exam. I wanted to see how he was doing, And my mom's reading through his papers. He got his grades back, and she's like, "Parent recommendation? You got an A+ on a parent recommendation?" Dad's like, "Well, what are you talking about?" She's like, "Well, it says right here." So then he's going through the papers, and because I used the same font he did, so he wears reading glasses. He didn't realize it was in there, so I had to sit there and watch him read it. So I will try to read this to you today. To Sensei and Senpai Romanelli, it is with great pleasure that I sneak this letter of recommendation into my dad's black belt preparation folder. As I write this, I understand how difficult it must be for parents to write about their children. A few paragraphs don't feel like enough to properly detail the student you gained 9 years ago. A lot of the adult black belts know my dad as a gentle, kind, humorous, hard-working man. There are few people that have had the privilege of spending the day-to-day with him, but for the last 27 years, I have been lucky to be such a person. My father is a perfectionist. I remember being sat down at the kitchen table to erase misspelled words on papers because it was not clean enough. I don't remember a speck of dirt on the floor unless his intensely loved dogs tracked some mud in the house. Then it lasted for about 5 minutes at most. Sometimes this was daunting, other times it led to the best school projects ever created. I bring this up not only to highlight his involvement as a parent, but also to say he never expected anything less from himself. When he received his first degree black belt, he told me, "I'm going to get my second degree black belt, but I'll keep going to class and keep learning. I'm not going to get that second degree black belt." I knew that simply would not be the case. My dad cannot do anything unless it is his personal best, and even then, he thinks he could do even better with more practice. My dad will be 69 in December, and I joke with parents he's the most vintage black belt training. It has come with some health problems and gray hair, probably caused from raising me and my siblings, but it does not deter him. Maybe he cannot move as quickly as some of our younger students, but he is out there, and he is on a quest to be his best. If there is anything I hope to learn, if there is anything I hope people learn from my father, is there are no excuses. In the words of one of his heroes, Muhammad Ali, impossible is not a fact, it's an opinion. Impossible is not a declaration, it's a dare. Impossible is potential. Impossible is temporary. Impossible is nothing. And no matter what stands in his way, my dad will always find a way to make it possible. I hope when I'm vintage, I can be half the martial artist that my dad is. From a blessed daughter, Haley Ambrogio.
So if you have a glass of water or whatever might be next to you, I'd like to propose a toast to being vintage, everybody. To being a vintage black belt. Congratulations, Mike, on your promotion today.